name is David Rosansky. Reason I'm up here, I have the distinct honor of introducing our next speaker. Just a little background, I'm CEO of Rosebud Consulting, which offers licensing, compliance, and management consulting services to the cannabis industry. The title of this session is Launching a Michigan Cannabis or CBD Company. During the session, you will learn innovative strategies for starting a successful cannabis or CBD company in Michigan. The session will introduce you to marketing and branding concepts, as well as creative strategies to common challenges in this industry. Our speaker today is Celeste Miranda. Celeste is a marketing expert of significant notoriety in this industry. She's frequently asked to speak at high-profile industry events. Celeste has ensured the successful launch of several startups. In fact, she owns Cannabis Marketing Lab and Mace Media, in addition to holding an ownership interest in several other companies. Celeste sits on several boards of this industry, including Cannabis Cultural Association. Please join me in welcoming Celeste Miranda.
Everyone for coming. First of all, it's been a great conference, and I do a lot of these, and it's always interesting to see the emerging markets. And so it's Michigan is definitely going to be a fun one, aside from the snafus and everything that's going on with the applications, it looks like. So as you can see, I own a Cannabis Marketing Lab. We're the oldest and largest marketing firm in the cannabis space. We have about 50 employees based out of California, San Luis Obispo. I also own Terpenes and Testing Magazine, Extraction Magazine, Cannabis Compliance and Packaging Magazine, and CBD Health and Wellness. I'm producing the CBD Expo tour that's going around, as well as a couple other big conferences, including Canna Farm and a few other ones. So we definitely stay very busy. You know, it was interesting. When I was asked to speak on marketing, it's super easy to talk to you guys about marketing. The SEO, the websites, all that stuff, that's the easy part. We can work through that, and we will at the end a little bit. But before you know that, you have to know your market. You have to know your consumer. You have to know the rules and regs of where you are in order to find a niche to create a business that's going to make you money and work in this industry. And that's what I've had, very grateful, a talent of being able to do, is spot the niches in this industry. And so in order to do that, we definitely need to know the market and what the market here is all about and what it's going to be about, assuming that the vote is going to pass, okay, which we all obviously want to do. So polls currently show 60%. To be passed. We anticipate that's going to happen. Never know. I mean, we've seen it before where we thought it was going to and didn't. So we'll see what happens. What we have now. So in 2008, Michigan passed the Compassionate Care Initiative, which was the medical law. It was approved by 63% of the voters. Michigan was the 13th state to legalize medicinal cannabis. Obviously, you need the doctor's rec. You can possess 2.5 ounces of usable cannabis and cultivate up to 12 for personal use. Now, what we know you can do if this vote passes. Number one, walk around with cannabis in your pocket. Lots of cannabis compared to other states. So that's very interesting to me. Residents can possess 2.5 ounces of flower, 15 grams of concentrate, which we know is the resin. What does 2.5 ounces look like? Based on 0.5 grams per joint, that's 140 joints. That's a lot, you guys, compared to other states we've seen and what's going on. So what does, so that just says the same thing at the bottom. I don't know, okay. So you can grow cannabis inside your home. A household would be permitted to grow up to 12 plants, the limit regardless of the number of adults living there. Any outdoor gardening would have to take place in a secure area where the plants are not visible to the public. Number 3, store up to 10 ounces of cannabis in your safe. While personal possession is capped 2.5, a household can have up to 10 ounces, as many as 560 joints. This holds true even if 5 or more adults over the age 21 live together. Products grown at the home would not be counted toward the household limit. This would be among the highest household possession limits ever given. Right, so what is so weird about this is the struggle that Michigan has had comes down to the fact that the limits are crazy if it's passed. And it's very interesting because we've had several clients who own dispensaries in Michigan, my marketing firm has, and honestly, you guys, it was so crazy. It's been like this with Michigan. And we had one client who owned several dispensary locations, and we couldn't get a hold of him for like a week. We were like, where is he? Where is he? Finally, he called us, and he was in jail for a week. Like, they literally just picked him up and put his ass in jail. I don't know. And so that's been the whole Michigan thing, up and down, up and down. So it's going to be... It's just weird because then when it does go, it's like just the limits are huge. It's very odd. So give pot, which is a term I hate, but let's see, as a gift this holiday season. As long as the giver and recipient are over the age of 21, you can gift cannabis. How much would this take out of your holiday budget? Other states have varying tax rates affecting the price. ColoradoPotGuide.com, citing data from cannabis market research from BDS, reports that the average retail price in the spring of 17 for 1 gram of flower was $6.92. Washington State, $5.87. That is enough to roll roughly 2 to 3 joints. So you can gift that much, pretty much. Open a commercial cannabis farm. The initiative lays out 3 tiers of business licenses for cannabis growers, scaled by the number of plants a farmer can cultivate. Class A would allow up to 100 plants, B, 500, C, 2,000. For the first 2 years, those already operating businesses would receive priority. Okay, we all know that. So, operate a cannabis microbusiness. Inspired by breweries, cannabis microbusiness license would allow for vertical integration. Permitted to grow up to 150 plants, a microbusiness could process, package, and sell its crop to adults. Okay, so they did this in California too. So it's vertical licenses is what they're saying. So you come in at a grower's license, you're much more likely to get a vertical license of manufacturing, delivering, anything like that. Okay, limit or ban recreational cannabis businesses in your municipality. Even if voters approve cannabis at the state level, locals keep some control. Municipalities can place harsher restrictions, such as capping the number of licenses, banning commercial cannabis altogether. Residents can petition their own town or townships about things like that. Refuse to hire job applicants or fire existing employees if they test positive. Even though the laws allow it, cannabis may still violate your employee handbook. Some industries, such as trucking, would be required by law to continue to test. Parts of Michigan business community are already struggling to find skilled workers who can pass a drug test. Kind of an oxymoron going on there. Okay. Ban tenants from smoking at your rental property. Just as landlords have the right to ban smoking cigarettes on their property, they can also ban smoking cannabis. Landlords would not have the right to ban consumption in other ways, such as edibles. And last, work as a bud tender at a smoking lounge. The initiative gives municipalities a right to zone areas for cannabis that permit consuming cannabis. These businesses would not be considered public spaces, exempting them from the portion of the law that prohibits consumption in public. The in public thing seems to be a little bit bigger with Michigan than it has with several other states. So, what we know you can't do if the vote passes. Fill your entire garage with your new cash crop. Okay, so not only are households limited to 12 plants, you cannot open a licensed cannabis establishment in a residential area, okay? It's gonna go with the application and permit. Grow your stash in a community garden. This isn't a case of if you've got to flaunt it. Plants can only be grown in a secured, enclosed space. It's probably best if that room lacks a window too, as plants can be visible from a public place. That sounds really odd, but it's true. You can get, even if you're licensed properly and it's not enclosed correctly and it's visible from the street, you can get violated on your license for that. So that's interesting. Drive while high. Just like alcohol, it would be illegal to operate a vehicle while under the influence of cannabis. Exactly how the portion of law would be as enforced is murky. There isn't a good way to test people on the side of the road. There are also no national standards to determine drug driving. Unlike alcohol, THC remains in the system long after it continues to have an effect. So it's way different than testing alcohol, which is at the time of consumption. As states have begun to legalize rec, a variety of methods have been developed to test if anybody's stoned behind the wheel. They're working on this technology, and it'll be here. It's just not here yet. So currently, it's still very hard for any law enforcement to pull you over and tell how long ago it was that you had consumed cannabis. So they're working on that. Light up in a park. Smoking recreational cannabis would not be allowed in public. If you choose to indulge, you would have to do so on private property or somewhere that's zoned. Can you smoke on your porch? When it comes to privately owned property that's visible from a public place, such as your porch, an overly aggressive prosecutor may try and claim that smoking on your front porch is in a public space because the public can view it. Again, they're really strict on that here. And so we'll see how that works out, because that has not been so strict like that in other areas about being viewed on private property from a public place. Promoted as a free gift for another retail purchase. Maine and Washington allow people to possess cannabis, gift it to others over 21, but they do not allow retail sales. A bustling gray economy of gifting cannabis has burst forth to exploit the loophole. In Boston, you can buy a $55 bottle of juice with the cannabis that comes with it being complimentary. Michigan's initiative attempts to crack down on this gifting economy before it has a chance to grow, permitting gifts as long as a transfer is not advertised or promoted to the public. If you were saying buy a bottle of water and get a free ounce of cannabis, that would be illegal under Michigan's initiative. This would prevent businesses from distributing cannabis products without being approved or avoid paying the tax. Sell colorful cannabis-laced candy. Candy infused with cannabis that is in the shape of packaging attractive to children would be banned. That's standard across the board. So we had a client was based in the Bay Area in California, and their packaging that we designed was just really colorful. It wasn't cartoonish. It didn't seem to me to be juvenile, just very bright, vibrant colors. And we got popped for that. So you got to be very, very careful on your packaging when they say attractive to children. Their parameters they use to decide that are pretty wide. Ship cannabis to someone else, even within Michigan. The post office is run by the federal government, continues to be Class 1 controlled substance. Shipping cannabis, even if it stays within Michigan, will remain illegal. Commercial shippers may have leeway to deliver cannabis products, but the area remains hazy. Other states have not seen cannabis by mail flourish, except Canada. So we all know Canada Post is just delivering cannabis like crazy. But we'll see how that works out here. Ban cannabis completely from your town. Though local governments can ban or limit cannabis businesses, they cannot ban cannabis completely. Initiative language explicitly states it cannot restrict the flow of products being transferred through their boundaries. So it's interesting. There's throughout the states that have accepted the rec laws, there is individual areas and individual towns that just won't let a dispensary in. They won't let anything in, and they have the right to do that until their city council votes differently. But they can't deny the transfer through their town with it if that needs to happen. Okay, sell homegrown cannabis to your friends, unless of course you're willing to go through the licensing process. Selling cannabis will require getting a license and paying associated taxes to be a cannabis retailer. Products must be tested before being placed on the market. So, no, we went through that fast, you guys, but I had to get to the marketing part too. So now that we know the rules, the regs, we have kind of an idea on what we're dealing with, it's much easier for us to say, okay, I think a business like this would fit in the industry here. I think a business like this would find a niche and fit in the market. And, you know, it's interesting because to me, you've got your growers, you have your manufacturers, things like that. But to me, the businesses that I've seen in the past 9 years of being in this industry, the businesses I've seen flourish have been the ancillary businesses. And those are the businesses that aren't growers, aren't manufacturers, aren't directly tied with touching the product. And it's been the big cannabis law firms, it's been, the marketing firms, it's been the POS systems, it's been the software systems, it's been all that kind of thing that you're not so tied to the prices of cannabis going up and down. Yes, it'll affect you, but it's not going to rip your business down, as the prices fluctuate. So be creative when you're thinking of a way to enter the market and what to do. There are so many things that a cannabis market needs, especially when it's emerging and coming, and especially CBD. I never thought that CBD would be the market that it is, but it's so much more than even CBD. You have CBG, CBN, CBC. There is a cannabinoid called CBC in cannabis. And I was at a conference the other day where a physician was speaking, and he was a physician, and he said that by the year 2020, 80% of the pharmaceutical companies will use some form of CBC in their drug. And it's because they've discovered that there's something in CBC that promotes the delivery system. So it makes the delivery system of the drug much quicker and much faster. And so he said by 2020, 80%, they're estimating, of the big pharma companies will use some sort of CBC in their formulation, which is interesting. So you've got to think beyond what's obvious. You know what I mean? Think beyond the getting an application to grow. Think beyond all that stuff. When you know these little things about the industry, it's amazing. I never thought our CBD Expo tour would be what it is. It's huge. There's thousands and thousands of people that show up to these conferences that we're taking across the country with the CBD Expo. And it's because it pulls in the pharmaceutical companies, it pulls in the mainstream, it pulls in the physicians. And so think more widely, when you're thinking of how to get into this industry. The state would have a year to accept applications for cannabis businesses, the plan for it. So they're still taking a long time. As you guys know, the snafu with all the applications, that the deadline they gave and all the chaos that caused, I've never seen that. So, we'll see how that works out, but that'll end up interesting. So standards would be set for testing, packaging, labeling, including a maximum THC level for cannabis-infused products and a requirement that a sample be tested. Another great portion of the industry to get into is testing, analytical testing. The labs are so important, and a lab that doesn't sell out is even more important. It's so interesting what they started to do in the different states is the growers would take a portion of their grow and they would test it themselves with a personal testing device at their grow. And they would get the highest percentage, the batch with the highest percentage, the plants with the highest percentage THC, and they would send that one to the lab. And of course they batch it, and that's not a realistic picture of what their crops are that they're growing. But this is happening with the labs. And so that's why testing is so all over the board. It still is in every state, doesn't matter. So it's really important to have some good, credible labs here as well that will stay very busy, no doubt. Terpenes, that's another thing I wanted to throw in. Terpenes is a huge part of the industry, you guys, that is going really, really fast growing and doing really well. Be creative when you're coming up with your companies, with the niches that you're going to find. Don't let terpenes slip your mind either, because the terpene companies that exist in Colorado and California, they're doing pretty well. So keep that in mind too. Packaging would be regulated. Edible cannabis products could not be sold in shapes or package attractive to children. It would have to be sold in opaque, resealable, child-resistant packaging designed to be difficult for children under age of 5 to open. Just about CBD in Michigan a little bit. They regulate it as cannabis. So everybody's kind of different on that. There is the Agriculture Act, the Farm Act, that always kind of butts heads with things about CBD. So that's still also up for grabs in legalization. So we'll see what happens with that. So getting a little bit into the marketing here now. Choose a business type and name, okay? One thing I can tell you guys is to put cannabis in your name like I did. Don't do that, okay? If you can avoid it. It was obviously kind of late for me to change something that was pretty important, but reason being for that is that when you go to try to work with Google, when you go to try to work with Facebook, when you go to try to work with all these places, you're going to make things 100% harder for yourself, okay? So remember to try to keep cannabis, definitely not pot, weed, marijuana, anything like that, in your name, because in the long run, that's going to help you quite a bit. Register the business with the Secretary of State, register a fictitious business name if necessary, get proof of local permission to operate, get a seller's permit, if necessary, cannabis tax permit, get a state license, meet employer obligations, consider tax obligations, maintain business registration, register trademarks and service marks. So this is an interesting portion, and it's always great to hear a trademark and or a patent attorney at a cannabis conference as well, which I'm not sure if we've had any here, but very, very important if you have a product worth every cent that you have to hire a good cannabis trademark and patent attorney. A few years back, nobody was worried about it because nobody was getting patents, nobody was getting trademarks. They wouldn't do it. Today, that's changing. They're starting to issue trademarks and patents, even though it's still federally illegal. I don't know what's happened, but that is changing a little bit. So yes, it is possible today to get your product trademarked or patent if you get a good cannabis attorney, because we're seeing it quite a bit. Very different than a few years ago. Okay, purchase a URL. Make sure keywords are in the URL. All right, so this is going to help you very much in the long run as well. Make sure that your keywords are in the URL of your domain name, because that's automatic SEO, you guys, automatic. So if you do lab testing in Michigan, let's say, make sure your URL uses the keywords that somebody would type in Google to find you. So perfect URL would be Michigan Cannabis Lab Testing, MI Cannabis Lab Testing, or Michigan Lab Testing, to narrow it down. I mean, you can buy several URLs for the SEO purposes, feed them into your main one, but always try to put the words that someone would type into Google to find you, always try to put those in your URL. Set automatic SEO on that, okay? Create a website, follow best practices. Make sure your website's easy to navigate, you guys. Nobody likes to go to a website that is a cluster. Okay, make it easy, make it simple. Less is more on a website as far as navigation, where things are. Obviously, make sure you have up enough information, but don't get all crazy on your website. Get social media going. Okay, here's a big one. Social media for the industry, and this took us a while to figure this out. Twitter is useless. Don't waste your time on Twitter. Useless. The industry is not on Twitter. Donald Trump's on Twitter. Facebook. Facebook today, right now, will get you nowhere. Okay? Hopefully that changes. I don't know. They just got done taking off the search, deleting the cannabis search for any companies. They reinstated that. Facebook is so up and down with cannabis, it's not worth your time. Do you need a Facebook page? Yes, absolutely. Because some people use it as a directory. So you want to be able to be found on Facebook. Is it worth your time that you're going to spend on social for your cannabis business? No. Have a page, have a presence, be able to be found on Facebook. Do not spend a ton of time on there because it's so volatile and it's not worth it at this point. And there is not a huge cannabis community on there. 2 places to put your time into on social media. Number 1, Instagram. Absolutely number 1, Instagram. Growers live on Instagram. Why? I have no idea. But the grower community lives on Instagram. So if you have a product in which you are going to need to rope growers into it all, work heavily on Instagram. And it's a great place for the cannabis community to be. It's very large on Instagram. So baby your Instagram. Second place, LinkedIn, which is so odd. I never in a million years would have thought LinkedIn for cannabis. The cannabis community on LinkedIn is huge. Huge, absolutely huge. So get a LinkedIn up, nurture it. Don't worry as much about a company page on LinkedIn as you do a personal page. Go into other LinkedIn conversations, comment on what they're talking about in the cannabis industry. It's going to set you up to be an influencer in whatever you're focusing on. Okay, it's very, very important to put your time into LinkedIn. Write for SEO. No one likes to write. I hate to write. I write for lots of publications that aren't even mine, and it's like the last thing I put on my list constantly. No one likes to write. So very important that you write 250 words every 10 days. Put that up on your blog, okay? Talk to other people who have a credible website. Credible meaning it's in good standing with Google, okay? It's not shisty in any way, it's got good views, that sort of thing. And ask them, hey, can I put a guest blog post up on your website? Because the more links you have from other websites coming into yours, the better your SEO is going to be. Okay? Caveat, they have to be credible websites or else it hurts your SEO. So make sure that the companies that you're reaching out to put your article on their website is a credible website, has good ranking, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then make sure you put links in that article back to your website. Okay, that's going to tremendously help you with what that is off-site. When people say off-site SEO, that's what that is.
On that point, though,
yes.
What an uncredible website, what does that look like?
Yes, okay, so something like that would be, you know, sometimes when you go to a website and it says, warning, this website is not safe because it's not an HTTPS, it's not secure, like that, you would not want to put something on that. Anything that has, you know, another great thing to do is go to a website called Alexa. And on Alexa, you can put in any URL to see how good that website is, how much it's viewed, its credibility, blah, blah, blah. So go to Alexa, put in the domain name of the website you're looking at, and you'll see how popular it is, how much traffic it gets. You know, a lot of people approach me and they say, you know, put an ad on our website. It's cost this much, blah, blah, blah. First thing I'll do is go into Alexa, see if it's really as popular as they're saying, and then make my decision. If it's the 150,000th most viewed website in the world, they have great traffic. You know, if it's 8 million something, something, I'm not going to spend my money to put my ad on there. So always check with Alexa. That gives you a good idea too. Email marketing. Okay, so email marketing is getting our firm right now the best ROI out there for our clients. So very important that you build an email marketing list because we are getting the most ROI for our clients off of email marketing right now. Don't blast people, maybe one email every 10 days, one every 2 weeks to promote whatever you're doing. Make sure you give people valuable information when you market them with an email blast. But we are getting the best ROI right now on email marketing. All starts with your list. Make sure you've got a good list. And another thing that LinkedIn lets you guys do, I don't know if you're aware of this, is export your contacts. So in LinkedIn, you can export the email addresses of all your contacts. So make sure you focus on the cannabis industry on your LinkedIn. Connect with the people you want to do business with and export that list. Of course, once you export it, you're going to want to send out an email saying, hey, opt out of my list if you'd like. Give them an option. So you're just not willy-nilly putting them on your list, but say, hey, we'd like to add you to our list. If you don't want to be added, let us know. But that's a very important feature of LinkedIn a lot of people don't know. Influencer marketing. This is interesting. So a lot of NFL players are getting into the industry, NBA, all this. We have all their agents coming to us to say, hey, hook your clients up with our client and this and that. And, they want to rep some products. I don't know. I think that I'm not quite sure the industry is just yet ready for some of that and to pay that dollar amount that some of those influencers want. I think we will be. I just don't know if we are yet. So if you're talking about influencer marketing and spending your dollars there, look very closely at that. And I do know that there are programs, companies coming out very soon that do influencer marketing. They match your company up with an influencer. They have celebrities, etc. They match you up with them, but you only pay on performance. So they have, actually it's the old Facebook algorithm in their system where they can actually tell how many people were sent to your site off of the work that the influencer does. So let's say the influencer puts an ad on Instagram or whatever about your product, that sort of thing, that you only actually pay for the results that you get from that. So something like that, it's a little safer at the moment. Set yourself as an authority. Told you the way to do that, LinkedIn. It's very, very important. Comment on other people's feeds. Hook up with me. I have 21,000 followers on LinkedIn, all the cannabis community. So hook up with me, comment on my feeds, on my threads, on my stuff. There's a long list of comments that will help you to comment professionally on what you know, things like that. Networking. This industry, you guys, is so small. It's growing, but it's very small. It's almost incestuous, just so you know. So I've been doing it 9 years now. It's very, very small. There are the old school players like myself and other people and, Roy, BDS, they've been around a long time. And there's other, real credible people that have been in this industry for a long time. And those are the ones you want to hook up with because there's so many people that come and go. There's so many people who say, I have the next best thing. They get an investor for $2 million, they spend it in 2 months, and you never see them again. That's common. So just make sure that you align yourself with the people who have roots in this industry, because it'll take you a long ways as well. Strategic partnerships. There's so many out there to do. So hook up with people who are looking to get to the same place you are. You guys, 0 of 0 is 0. 50% of $1 million is 500,000. So partner with the people who, you're going to get somewhere with. And always position yourself to sell. Position yourself with the end in mind. Very important. A lot of people in this industry don't do that. So that is what I have. I wanted to make this presentation very hands-on, useful, gritty stuff. I love giving tips and tricks of things we learn and what we know and what we've spent so much time and money learning. So now, I'll open it up. I think we have a little bit of time to hear from you guys. And if you have any questions, and any questions about businesses you're thinking about or whatever, I'll help if I can.
What sort of marketing and automation tools do you use, like HubSpot type?
So we use a few things in our office. First of all, as you can imagine, social media in our office is a nightmare. So I have a VP right here. She's of social media. She has about 5 coordinators underneath her, and they all use Hootsuite for social media coordination. So you put something on Hootsuite. She's probably going to correct me if I'm wrong. You put something on Hootsuite, and it's blasted to all of your social media. So you only have to post it once. Yeah, instead of going to all the different ones. We do use that as a platform for social media. For internal communications and communications with, obviously we have a lot of writers for the magazine, things like that. Basecamp is our Bible for a project management system. We couldn't live without Basecamp. And for a CRM for sales leads, the best one I've ever found is called NoCRM. NoCRM. And we've used Salesforce. We've used a lot to manage leads. That seems to be the best one. Other than that, we just keep all of our clients on Basecamp. We communicate with them on Basecamp. We communicate with each other as far as the projects are going on Basecamp. But really, that's what we do as far as software. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yes.
So given the proliferation of craft breweries in
yes.
Michigan, how do you see micro businesses evolving in this industry? Do you see it having as much success, or?
I do. And, it's interesting. When Oregon came on for rec, we had an influx of craft growers come onto our portfolio. Boutique growers with very small batch grows. And I was sort of, when that happened, I thought, I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Because it was very much like the craft brewery thing. They've done very well. Very, very well. So I do see that happening. I see it happening more with the influence of terpenes almost than as opposed to strains. I think the strain thing is going to phase out, you guys, because I think so many of the strains are the same and do the same thing. Hybrid. It's indica, sativa. Does it really exist? And so I think that the strain thing will phase out a little bit. I think what will distinguish craft growers and boutique growers will be more terpene development. I want used.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Yes?
How well does organic influencer marketing work? So instead of paying somebody, that's good.
Mm-hmm. I encourage so many people who call our office to try it yourself first, because I can step in at any point and fix what you've broken. I can step in at any point and make it bigger. But I always encourage you guys to try it first. And I do think that it's important, and it can work. You can do your organic marketing perfectly fine. Here's the problem. It takes time. Organic marketing takes so much time. If you have that time, you can do it. No problem. It's the entrepreneurs in this industry that don't have the time that come to us. And, organic just really means that you're not paying to play, you guys. You're not paying Google for ads. You're not paying Facebook for ads. You're not paying Instagram. It's not like you can pay them unless you know a couple tricks. But it's until we get to a point where you can be honest about an ad that you're putting on Google or Facebook. Honestly, I encourage you to do organic and put in that time if you have it. If you don't, then hire a marketing firm. But really all you've got right now is organic, because you can pay a ton of money to put an ad on Google, and as soon as they figure out what you're doing, they're going to cut it. So, I mean, to me, I would spend my time and effort more on content writing, blogs, you know, getting your organic SEO up. You can, it's not that hard. The problem is it takes every single day work. And you need to be writing. You need to get those writings on other websites linking back to you. You need to be on LinkedIn doing influencer marketing, putting your opinion. You know, all this, it can work and it does work. It takes time. So to answer your question, I'm all for it right now. Do it 100%. I think until it's federally legal and we have our gates open to put ads where we want to, paying for them, being honest. I mean, I can get an ad right now, you guys, up on Facebook or Google. Right now, illegally, per their regulations. How do I do that? I'll tell you, it's no problem. You create a landing page, okay? You don't put the word cannabis, marijuana, anything on it at all. Let's say it's a CBD oil, okay? You're going to put on there, on this landing page, live a healthy lifestyle, feel better, put a picture of a person running on a beach, whatever, okay? Make it all health style oriented. At the very, very, very bottom, you're going to put, for more information, click here. Okay? That's going to take you to your real website. But their automatic algorithm doesn't pick that up to approve ads. So you're going to get on there, but you're going to be on there for 2 months until a human does an audit and reviews what's going on, you know, and then takes it down. So we can sit there and do that all day and get Google ads up, Facebook ads up, but it's not worth it. You know, in the long run, then the people who saved your URL or that URL to a bookmark and go there 3 months later and your page is gone. You know, it's not the way to do it. And so right now, today, organic is what you've got. It just takes time. Yes.
From a startup perspective, how would you start to generate the actual? From a startup perspective, how would you actually start to generate that initial lead list or that target list? You know, because you wouldn't actually have any sort of POS data in there yet. I mean, obviously you'll collect that during the sign-up process, but
Right. So what we do for our clients that are in that situation is we get them to write content, helpful, informational content. And then we get that content on other websites, you know, and we get it on blogs, we get it on industry news. Here's the thing that's working in your guys' favor. Everybody wants content. Every website wants content. Trust me, I know. Every magazine wants content. They all want content. Content is not that easy to get, okay, good content. So again, it comes back to writing. Spend the time writing, get it on websites, and then you'll get people come and sign up for more information, you know, to be on your list, to get more information.
what about as far as like acquiring lists?
Acquiring lists, you know, there's some good ones out there that you can buy, you know, but I would never recommend purchasing a list. I just wouldn't, you know, because you never know how those people got on that list. You never know if it was opted in or not, or the emails were hijacked.
So pretty much organic.
Organic again. And again, takes time. Be patient. Work that LinkedIn and export that list. That's one of your fastest, easiest ways. By hands down. But make sure to just connect. I have all kinds of people trying to connect with me, you know, but I only accept the cannabis related ones because I know that 21,000 number I have are pure cannabis contacts. So work that list, go back in and clean your LinkedIn list. And that's one of the fastest ways of doing it. And then also, like I said, give helpful content. Okay, I think we're out of time, guys. Thank you.